So we're going to check this out. This should actually be news, some news about Diablo 4, what's going on with some updates. Should bring you guys up to speed on everything. Let's hop in. Let's check this out. We'll discuss it together. I'll try to keep the video at a reasonable length. No guarantees, though.
So yes, Blizzard today revealed that the Necromancer is getting a much-needed buff. But what exactly is changing? Also, new responses from the dev team about lingering issues and what they're going to do about that. Plus, a plea to Blizzard about the world boss and some key advice on how to take down Ashava yourself, but also as a team. So let's get into this first and foremost with this one right here.
I'm curious to hear what this plea is about the world boss. I've heard that a lot of people have actually been asking for a world boss buff.
From Adam Fletcher of Blizzard, who says, "Hi all, the team has just deployed a hotfix for the Diablo 4 server slam that will be addressing some of the feedback we've been seeing regarding Necromancer pets and their survivability. Now, this is a back-end change, so users will not need to download a new update. The hotfix will take a few hours to deploy."
They want it to where low levels can't enter the world boss. I'm not opposed to that. I'm actually not opposed to that at all. Do you know what I mean? Or at least limit. Or at least like a limit.
Deployed to all users. Remember, the server slam test will be ending at 12.
Yeah, they should definitely have a limit for sure. Like whether it's 23 or 20 or something. That's kind of what you're hearing on Reddit. Until you saw low levels there, no. Yeah, I think a lot of us thought that was the case, but I definitely saw some really bad. I think it was... Whose team was it? It might have been Krowlick's team. There was one of the teams when we were doing our Ashava kills, where they were reporting like level 12 and 13s right outside of Ashava for the kill. So yeah, it definitely is a thing.
More on the Necromancer buff. Does this change damage at all? Does it change only the health of the skellies? Let's go ahead and take a look at that because we got the question right here from Jez, who says this: does it buff their damage or just health? I didn't think the damage was so bad if you take on the passives. And the response from Adam Fletcher is it addresses survivability, so health. So no adjustments to the damage of your skellies and that sort of output. Let me know if you guys think that needs to be adjusted. I'm kind of curious. Now, Rod Ferguson of Blizzard.
Yeah, I actually didn't replay the Necromancer at all, the server slam. I'm just going to wait till the game goes live. 6 times. New level 20 with commons and blues. Did you get it at all? Did you guys... I mean, like, I definitely think there were people that should have dropped down to World Tier 1 just to get their first clear. And I think that was a big hang-up for a lot of people. Multiple attempts, killed for the trophy. I mean, I think that was the best bet, was just to go to World Tier 1, kill it for the trophy, and then after that to challenge harder on the World Tier 2.
Also had some words about what's going on with the Necromancer. Check it out right here. Definitely hearing the feedback on the Necro nerfs. I'm feeling them too. Remember, balance is a journey, not a destination. It takes tweaking to get it right.
Hopefully, and we beat this dead horse all the time. There shouldn't have been any balance changes at all based on the beta. No balance changes should have happened until right before the first season, when people had a chance to get to the end game, and the Diablo team could have reviewed all of the data and then made proper changes going into the first season. So I think that the buffs and nerfs during the beta were premature, and they never should have happened.
So my assumption is if the community is loud enough, if it's a needed change, they will be adjusting it. So it's not the end of the story for the Necro if things...
Rebalance? Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, they're going to rebalance, and then the thing is, it's not only the rebalance, they're going to add new things every season, right? New aspects, new skills, new perks, and every time they add those, it's going to shift the balance, and they're not going to be able to player test it as well as they could before the live launch. So one of the things I think people fear is actually probably going to happen, which is mid-season buffs. Mid-season buffs and nerfs will probably happen in the life cycle of Diablo 4, which is going to hurt some people because they're going to rely on builds, or they're going to theorycraft builds just to have it ripped to shreds 3 weeks into the season. Yeah, well, that was the thing, Ern, right? Like, being a babysitter and not a commander, and I think that was the worst part. You spent most of your time summoning skellies and not actually engaging in combat.
Things need to be adjusted going forward.
The nerfs shouldn't have happened, or the buffs.
And right now, I'm actually...
It should have just been left alone.
Actually playing, of course, yes, my Barbarian, and I am having a blast with the Barbarian. Let me know if there's any other Barbarian fans out there, of course. Sound off. But yeah, let's keep going with the official news. I was on to say this right here. Is it common for goblins to drop no loot in their death? I just killed one, level 16, in the deep white. No loot, just gold. And the response is this one from Rod Ferguson, looking into that too. I noticed that.
I had some resplendent chests that only dropped gold. I think a lot of it's their scaling. Nothing but gold. I don't know if it's the loot goblins or it's something with the scaling, like whatever they did to scale back legendaries. I feel like they just changed like a global variable, and that global variable hit chests and loot goblins as well, if that makes any sense. So I think when they dialed it back, it unintentionally nerfed them from sources that should have a better chance. So hopefully they'll get that fixed before the game goes live. Because you shouldn't get a resplendent chest that only pops gold or a loot goblin that only pops 100 fucking gold. Like, that shouldn't happen. I'm not saying you should get a Lego every time, but you should at least get a rare or something out of it.
Let's keep going, shall we? So, Zach goes on to say this. Bloop. Was there a mention about teleporting while fighting a Shava would send you to different servers? I ended up going to town to repair. When I went back through it out me, threw it out me into the area, a Shava spawns, and there was nothing there. Okay.
It sounds like that was a mirror issue. It sounds like for whatever reason, maybe they had a shitty connection. I'm waiting to hear. I want to see what their response is. Their response is going to be they're going to look into it. But to me, it sounds like they teleported out, and then maybe they had bad connections or the server had a bad connection, so it lost their mirror. So when they teleported back in, they teleported into a mirror where Shava was already killed. That's what that sounds like to me, is they went out, and when they came back, they were teleported into a different mirror. Godpack didn't drop anything. Yeah, I think they just accidentally nerfed Lego rates across the board.
I get the word you start. All right, so the response is here from Adam Fletcher. Yeah, it's an issue we are tracking, but I recommend partying with people in your instance before the fight, which will prevent that, or just not porting back out.
Yeah, so what's happening is your teleporting is causing you to hop mirrors, is pretty much what's happening. Long story short. So if you're going to do a Shava fights in the live game, because they probably won't have it fixed right away, or world boss fights, definitely try to party up, because that will fix the game, forcing you to a different mirror. Yeah. Resetting sellers by porting back to town. Really? So you would just port back and then come back in and the seller would be started over? So it definitely sounds like they have a mirror issue.
As that will lead to that issue. I recommend not like teleporting at all during the middle of an Ashava boss battle, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because it definitely hurts your team, but if you have to, because you got to repair your gear, you have to. I mean, you can't fight with no gear.
You know, it's weird. Do you guys think it should even be an option that you should be able to teleport out of a boss?
Absolutely. You should be able to teleport out of a boss fight, or you should have somebody there to repair your gear. Either make it to where you can teleport out, or when world bosses happen, have a little camp that gets set up where you can go and you can repair your gear. Do not take out the ability to teleport out from a boss fight if your gear can still get broken.
Boss battle that's already live and going on.
I mean, you could have like some people from town like set up like a makeshift camp, blacksmith camp. You don't need like a potion healer and stuff like that, because then you could like sort of go get unlimited potions, but at least a blacksmith. You know what I mean?
I honestly think that you should be in it, you know, until the very end, and that mechanic should be.
Yeah, and they could like, it could give you like where you respawn, because you respawn in the same spot. Just have the respawn and then just have a blacksmith there. You can repair your gear and just keep running.
Kind of like removed during the boss battle itself, you know, until Shava's health is 0. But yeah, sound off what you think about that one, if you think you should be able to repair or not.
You should be on the dev team. Sure, sign me up. Tell them to, I got a business email. Just tell me they need me.
Of an Ashava.
As long as they pay for my relocation, I'm there tomorrow.
Boss battle. Let's keep going. So we have another question. It says, hi, hey, Rod. Appreciate the hard work. Is there any chance our progression carries to the main game from the...
It should have. It's dumb that it didn't.
Beta, thanks.
But you never upgraded it. It sounded like I wasn't even allowed to do my launcher because of it. So that's interesting that I had to, but you didn't have to. Maybe I just misread something. You know me and reading, we don't do it very
And
often.
keep up the great work.
When are we supposed to get the game? If you pre-ordered one of the the higher end editions, so anything over standard, you should get access to it June 1st. If you only got the standard edition, it should be 6/6.
And Rod Ferguson
You just clicked OK and launched it. I was too dumb to do that.
says, sorry, no, fresh start at launch. So it's going to be basically the same difference from the open beta, what we're experiencing here with the server slam. It's going to be a total fresh start and
That sucks, man. They should have let us carry this last beta forward.
reset,
That would have made people play more.
essentially. Now, what's next? We have this one right here. It says, have you tried the Druid this weekend yet? If so, what are your opinions on a lot of people's perception of it feeling extremely difficult?
Dude, I literally just watched a video 5 minutes ago, and they pretty much made it look like the Druid was the easiest thing to play ever. So I feel like it's just people that are complaining to complain.
To play, and the response is from Rod Ferguson, who says, I didn't have any real issues, especially considering we don't have access to the class mechanics yet because it's in Scotsglen. So
Exactly. Like, why would you buff the Druid without it getting access to all of its abilities?
I've been hearing mixed reactions right now about the Druid, that some people are enjoying the Druid. And overall, I'm also noting that people are enjoying the actual challenge of the server slam as opposed to the open beta, that you guys are really embracing it. And I think
I didn't think it was challenging at all. Complaining to complain or bad at the game, there should be a question mark on that, right? Because I think it's more just complaining to complain. Just how they're like people that are like professionally offended. There are people that professionally just bitch. No matter what you give them, they still bitch.
partly that's due to what I call we living in the Souls era. You know, Elden Ring and that sort of thing actually, I think, helps this sort of instance.
Your lack of gamer skill. Listen here, Fluffy. Listen here. We're not going to talk about it. Stat boosts like crit chance and stuff like that. It could be, but like there's ways to like permanently transform into your wear forms and stuff like that. So there's definitely room for all the classes. That's why I think talking buffs, nerfs, or any class feeling under or overpowered right now is completely moot. That's not a point. It's not even a point that should be a discussion.
With having
It was a statement. It was a good statement.
I believe that a lot of you guys also love those style of games, and having it a bit more difficult.
I don't think the game is going to be as challenging as everybody in the pre-beta has been building it up. I think once the game gets rolling along and people get builds and they grind, it's going to start feeling easy. About you, you'd bitch if they hung you with a new rope. Exactly.
Having that option, at least, in my opinion, is a good thing. All right, next up, we have drop rates. So let's talk about that. But guys,
let's not talk about drop rates because it doesn't matter. Because you're not on World Tier 5.
That's what we got to go over to Reddit for that one. So let's do that. So we have...
You're on the easiest drop. You're on the easiest tier whatsoever. And we don't have access to the highest tier drop rates. So
have this one. Drop rates are supposed to be this low at this tier and level. You're all a bunch of Diablo 3 casuals or haven't played many ARPGs.
All right, so this guy's a dick because of the wording. Like, you don't have to insult people to get your point across.
Think about it. If the cap is 100 and you're level 20 and it goes up multiple world tiers, it makes sense the drop rate is this low for what we're at. You get a few as you level, but you don't farm them at this tier. This is what happened to Diablo 3. It went from very hard to 5,000% increase.
It's 50,000% increase.
Damage because of all the damn whining. I waited too long for a proper Diablo title for it to get ruined by casual Andes. That's what instant gratification end rant.
So sorry here. Is it Comicho? You're the minority. Because there are going to be a lot of people that want to see the game be challenging. But the people who pay to keep the lights on at studios are your casuals. I'm not saying that the game should be catered one way or the other. Like, I'm not taking a stand, but you have to understand that most of the people that play this game are going to be more casual. And if 80% of your player base isn't having fun, 10% stop playing and the last 10% are enjoying themselves, you have a dead game. So there's definitely going to be a balance across the board, but the balance is always going to lead more towards your casual players. And I know there are people, even in my own community, who want the game to be a lot more hardcore, and I get that. But the reality of the situation is it's a business first. And as a live service game, it's always going to be sort of catered more towards your casual players. The loot is a little bit slow, but you're okay with it. I think once you're on World Tier 5, it's going to speed up. Because I think you're going to be seeing a lot more packs, a lot more elites, and stuff like that. I think the uniques are going to be pretty rare, but even still, I think once people find optimal ways to farm, it's going to be pretty fast. Yeah. I want the loot. That's the thing. I want to grow into my power. I want to grow into my power. I want to start out. Yeah, I think it will be towards the higher world tiers. I want to start out feeling the grind and then grow into my strength and then feel like I'm getting rewarded, because at the end of the day, you're going to need legendaries to drop frequently, because you're going to, I don't want to say super frequent, but they're going to need to drop somewhat frequent because you're going to be farming for god rolls, right? And if you're only getting one legendary every 5 hours on World Tier 5, you're going to have a long fucking grind.
And a lot of people agreed with this one.
You don't want to be able to play, you know what I mean, 30 hours a week for 12 weeks and still not get all the gear you want to get. That's a problem. There has to be a balance.
As well, so.
And most players aren't going to play 30 hours a week. Most players are going to play 6 to 8 hours a week.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people also want it to go back.
Why am I talking so much? I'm making this video so ungodly long.
All right, so we have this one. Lock a Shafa to level 20, please. This just doesn't make any sense, or to allow lower level players to join. Do you agree?
1 Lego per dungeon. I mean, I don't think that sounds bad, right? And then at like top world tier, maybe 1 Lego randomly and then 1 Lego from the boss or something like that. Like, I don't think that sounds terrible. And you can't spam the same dungeon. That's true.
Give this one or not. I
think that once you start getting into like the Mythic Plus, like the keyed dungeons, I think you should get more at higher tier keys. But I think that should be at like the upper end. You know what I mean?
I think that there should be a minimum level requirement to enter a world boss.
There should be a minimum level requirement to enter a world boss. I think that the requirement window should widen as you get to the top. I think if there's a world tier boss at level 25, then it should be capped minimum 20. If there's a world tier boss at level 50, it should probably be 45. If there's a world tier boss at 75, you could probably drop it down a little bit more, because the difference between like say 65 and a 75 are mainly going to be about gear. Do you know what I mean? Because that's all about just who gets the right legendaries. Because you can get like really strong Legos and even uniques early on. And then for like a world tier 100 boss, leave it at like a 10 to where you can be in from 90 to 100 or something like that. But I think the lower tier world bosses should definitely have a tighter cap.
Now, furthermore, we have this one. Anyone else having a blast? I, for one, am having so much fun and have had none.
Most of this shit I'm going to cut from this video because it's already getting super long and it's not really important.
Not a single issue. Hope you guys are having fun. This is so awesome to see. 1,200 upvotes. It seems like Blizzard is really on point with understanding.
1,000. I hate this. Like, so bad. Like, it's a Reddit thread with 1,000 upvotes out of 2 million people playing the game.
Their community thus far. And
I'm not saying that it's not important, but it's not indicative of anything. That's why I try to curb expectations when it comes to Reddit.
Really listening.
And Reddit's sort of influence over the entire player base. Right. I mean, like for me, like I definitely use Reddit to look at stuff, especially if I'm making content, but I definitely try to put it in the guise of this is only indicative of Reddit. Do you know what I mean? Most people don't use Reddit. Most gamers don't use Reddit. Some people, but not most people. Good vibes, your outrage porn. I do what I can.
Definitely on the right track. Now, we have this one right here. What's your favorite cosmetic you found from drops?
The blade
Check
looks
out the
fucking
demon blade.
nasty.
This thing is absolutely beautiful, and I am so
It looks
jealous.
nasty.
Man, that is something I
I
want.
think I've seen it. You use Reddit. Some people do use Reddit, but the vast majority of the public don't use Reddit.
Much, especially for my barbarian. Something like that would be so badass. Now, also, if you did not know,
What do you use Reddit for, Maury?
check it out. It says this. You can get cosmetic loot drops from random mobs. And you can see here a cosmetic trophy for, of course, one of the mounts. So that's actually something you will be able to obtain in the full version of
Well, that's cool. I mean, that just means there's more random, loot trophies.
the game. You can't really see
Positive.
it now because, yeah, we don't have access to mounts. Also, I really wanted to highlight this one. I totally agree with this post. It says, Wings of the Creator should be a looping emote.
100%. Wings of the Creator should be a looping emote.
Would be cooler if the emote itself would be endless and just stop if you would move. Feels super short currently. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm like, that's it. It's such a cool looking emote. It would be cool if you can have this thing persist a little bit
loop.
more.
But this was actually quite a long video. I'm going to cut quite a bit out of it. Let me know down in the comments what you think of buffs and nerfs, if they should or shouldn't happen, what you think about when the first set of buffs and nerfs should happen, the changes to the game that have came from the beta all the way up until now, what you kind of want to see change between when the game launches and the first season, if anything, or if you're just enjoying the game and you want to get in and play and just enjoy the game and enjoy the experience. Thank you guys for being here. And as always, have a great day.